Welcome to the Bible Lounge. My name is Sam, and we're taking a look at interpretive method, specifically the area of grammatical consideration for your interpretive method. So what is grammar? Grammar deals with proper understanding of word order and the meaning of the actual text itself. So when you consider a sentence, and in that sentence, what is the subject of the sentence? What is the object or sometimes complement of the sentence? What are the verbs and nouns and prepositions and all of that? Now, you don't need to read all of the technical details, but you do need to understand that a sentence says what it says. A sentence does not say just anything you want, it says what it says. So we have a bit of an example below, but just to place it, grammatical interpretation within your full interpretive method, you've got your grammatical method, your historical method, and your theological method, which all build together to produce a proper interpretation. So very briefly, grammatical is the word structure and the technical use of those words in those positions and all the commas and things. Your historical interpretation understands the historical context in which what you're reading was written. That helps us to understand the meaning of it, because meaning is grounded in a context. And then theological considers the teaching of Scripture as a whole, and where what you are trying to understand, maybe a sentence here, where that fits in with the teaching of Scripture as a whole. So focusing primarily on grammatical interpretation here. So this is the beginning of John's Gospel. It reads, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Okay, this is a little bit tricky because you have two, it seems, uses of the word God, and a kind of a weird thing going on where this thing, the word, can be both with God and was God himself. So being with God, but being God. So you would normally say if someone is with someone, they are kind of standing next to them, beside them. But in this case, we have the slight oddity that the person is what he is beside as well. So the Word is God and is with God at the same time. Now, logically, you might struggle with that, but grammatically, that's what it's actually saying. The grammar of the sentence is saying that the Word was God. So the Word and God are the same. And again, just going through, following the subject of the sentence, which is the Word. The Word was with God, the Word was God. He, who we would naturally understand as the Word again, was in the beginning with God. So now we've got our with God as the beside part. And then again, with the grammatical method, we're putting links together to find out who we're dealing with at different times. So this he at the start of verse 2 is not the with God part, not the green part, but is dealing with the Word, who was God. So with God and was God at the same time. And then we later on understand the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and that's pointing us to Christ. So the Word is also Christ. And we hear that all things were made through him, through the Word. Okay, and without him, the Word, was not anything made that was made. That's another way of saying all things. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So in other words, it's saying all things were made through him, all things were made through him. All things. There was not anything. All things. So those are the same. I should circle them in the same color. Okay, so hopefully you get the idea. We're using grammar to understand this. we don't we don't sort of make up a section where we might say that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, but the Word was God, and we don't just go, well, let's throw that out. We have to, even though it says the Word is separate from God, but the Word is God, the grammar puts it in that order. Whenever we're reading Scripture, we have to follow the natural grammatical reading of it. You might ask why. Why do we do that? Well, the Bible is written in written language, isn't it? And both the Old Testament in Hebrew and the New Testament, which we're reading here with John, in Greek, is written in a language that contains its own grammar. It contains its own, structure. Greek is a little bit different because it doesn't have word order in the same way that English. I don't know a great deal about Greek at this stage. I'm learning. But the word order is less important in Greek. So, interestingly enough, you can swap some words completely and it has no change on the meaning of the text. Whereas if you took some words in English and you just swap them, then that can change the meaning. So if we took all and we just shifted that around, things were all made through him. Maybe that's not as bad. All things were made all through him. Let's put it there. Things were made through all him. We start shifting the meaning a little bit when we shift word order in English. But again, in Greek, not as important. Partly that's because, just for your interest, the meaning of the words and the positioning is contained within what's called case endings. So the last part of the word tells us the relationship rather than the position. Okay, probably more info than you needed, but grammatical interpretive method, we use the rules of grammar to understand properly. With the translations coming into English, we use the rules of English grammar with original manuscripts, of which there are over 6,000, I believe now, New Testament Greek manuscripts, partial manuscripts and manuscripts of varying lengths. We use the original grammatical rules of those languages. Unfortunately, we have a lot of literature from that time to help us to understand the grammar, not least of all being the Bible itself. There we go. Hopefully that's helpful for you. We'll have a look next time at historical interpretive method, understanding the historical context of the text of Scripture.